SharePoint tutorial. My name is Idris Parks. I'll be walking you through a high-level view and usage for SharePoint. On the left-hand side, we're going to go to cities and zones. Pretty much this houses all the cities, zip codes, what zones patients are in, as well as the actual Google Maps link, which automatically gets populated when you add an item. If I go to the top, click Items, New Item. The title is the city, zip code, zone, if it's in Chicago or Illinois, north, south, east, and west, or whatever. Don't worry about this, the zip code link, it gets automatically populated. So for example, Chicago has north, south, east, west, whatever. Illinois, north suburbs, south suburbs, west suburbs, so forth. If I click on once you add and save the city, this zip code link will automatically get saved in the database and created, so don't worry about it. But if I were to click on that, it would take me straight to the Google's location of that particular patient. I can then click Get Directions from where I'm at, and it can provide me directions on how to get to that patient. The diagnosis and revisit intervals, right here, the second option. Let's kind of go over that. And it should be known that these two tables are very important and need to be populated by the home health medical staff, because these two tables right here actually work with these three forms right there. So if we don't have these two populated, then the system is not going to work. So we definitely need to have that stuff populated. And if I go back to cities and zones, I have some zones populated, but as you can tell, if I scroll through this database, there are a lot missing. So I've asked the girls at the front to kind of, whenever they get time, to populate that so that we can then prevent errors moving forward from when we actually go into these two forms. So let's go into diagnosis and revisit intervals. Here we have all of the description and preventative codes. So for example, if I scroll over here, for this particular description or item, I have a revisit interval and I have preventative interval. These are in days, so 30 days, 180 days, or whatever. This table directly feeds into the patient visitation scheduling form, which is right here. So if this table, which is all this data right here, is not populated, then the patient scheduling form is going to be off. And when we get to that, I'll show you why. To add an item, do the same thing. Items, new items, to add it. To edit an item, you can just double click on the code and then click edit item right here, and then you can change the different days. Patient contact information, that was the initial pool that we got in straight from Centricity. I think originally it loaded in like 500 users, or I'm sorry, patients, but those were patients that were part of also Dante, so I filtered it so it's just home health. However, here's the thing, any new patient that gets entered in Centricity also has to be entered here at the same time in order to keep the databases kind of up to date, unless we do another major pull from Centricity. We're working with TechPro to automatically link this data straight into Centricity so we can just pull it, but you know, we're still working on that. They're not able to provide that functionality to us right now for whatever reason. The patient diagnosis form was kind of created as a form for when Ernest or another one of the PAs or nurse practitioners call in. I saw the young lady at the front desk, Mari, kind of handwriting stuff down. Well, now, in terms of diagnosis, now Ernest can actually just do this. Enter the patient number, which is the social security number, first name, last name, date of service, and he can enter whatever he needs to enter whatever, click submit. I'm not going to save this right now, but if I go back, I have some sample ones. And then that way, Mari will get email, and she can see all the ones that are open. And so then if she needs to close it out, she can just click on the actual form, order status, click close, and then click the save button up here. And then it will move from open to close. Save, click close. And so that actual order, I don't know what order it was, but it went from open up here to close. Patient scheduling form. This is the form we talked about from the diagnosis and revisit intervals, that the actual visitation and preventative codes make a difference here. So for example, if I go to this form, the patient scheduling form, and I got a couple of samples, I'll just click one of them. And the only thing you have to do for a sample, just click the name on the form right here, Charles Wise. I'll click him. So the method type was visitation, first name, last name, the date of his last service, the address, and all this stuff will get automatically populated. So for example, if I do a new one, let's go to new, document, visitation. So if I chose, say someone, I don't know who that is, but to pull down, that's Ethel, okay. The date of her last service, click the calendar and just put any date in. The address and everything will be automatically populated, so it's going to SharePoint to get all the information. Now, if you notice with zones, if this zip code, you didn't enter the zone, if that's not populated, then you'll get a blank. And so when you go to save the form, you'll get an error. So that's why that zip code database, the very first link, is very imperative. You got to have that populated, because that's going to also drive this Google Maps link for the engineer in case if they have to go out and visit that certain individual. But what I wanted to get to is, because it's visitation, when you click problem type, you have the descriptions or the preventative codes that Dr. Sams gave us. But then with intervals, you'll have 30 days based on that interval. And if that was a problem type, for example, it would be 180 days. The only thing we have to do is just submit the form at the bottom and close it out. I'm not going to save that data, but then that's how it gets populated here. So then you can see the next service dates of different individuals based on their visitation, if it's a visitation or is it a preventative type of registration. It'll calculate plus 30 or plus 180. The thing is, right now, this doesn't take into weekends, so it's literally counting days. Saturday, Sunday is actually part of the calendar day. Once that happens, this patient visitation calendar, which is the second link right here on the side, will automatically get populated. So this patient visitation calendar right here. So once you submit a patient scheduling forms, then it'll automatically get added to the calendar automatically. So that's the automatic workflow. We'll talk about quality assurance right now. Within Centricity, you can pull data back and forth. So if, for example, the patient contact information, I got that dumped from Centricity. Now this kind of goes beyond SharePoint. This is more informatics, but I wanted to share with you how I was able to do that. So within the PC, if you have a DSN or some type of ODBC manager, so for example, on a PC, you would go to Start, Control Panels, Administration Tools, ODBC Manager. So right now you can see I have a system DSN set up to point to the SQL Server here at Centricity. So if I go into configure, and Dr. Sam has all of the username and passwords to get into the system. So this is the actual Centricity server that they have. Now you can only run these reports or pull back this data from Dr. Sam's office. Once again, we're working with Tech Pro on how to get that connectivity, but right now it's not possible. But what I want to do is kind of show you, because this is really over and beyond SharePoint. But let me start Excel. So from here, and I can show you some samples of charts and stuff once you kind of get the hang of this, or whoever Dr. Sam is going to use for his quality assurance person. So if I go to, within Microsoft Excel, get external data, if I do a new database query, see that DSN that I created already that points to Tech Pro? If I click OK, from my house, it's not going to work, because once again, I can't get to Tech Pro from my house. But within Dr. Sam's offices, it will work. But I think I can pull up an Excel spreadsheet that has data in it. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on pause and just bring up a sample of the data once you pull it back, the different pivot charts and stuff like that. So once I pull my data back from Centricity, then I can create certain reports and things like this, pivot tables or whatever other 3D charts that I want based on my data, a patient history data or whatever. I'm just kind of showing you. So here, this is just kind of showing you, and see this is just showing you the different charts that you can create based on the data that you pull back from Centricity. This is not Centricity. This is for another client, but I just wanted to show you that these are the metrics and stuff like that that you can use as part of that. But that's over and beyond SharePoint right now. Task assignments. I can assign someone a task and they'll get an email notification about that task until they close it out. So for example, I can say add new, or I already have a task assigned to Diane. It's not started, but let me just kind of bring it up. So in this task, I told her to, here's a description down here, and gave her a due date. So once I assigned that task and clicked save, she actually got this in the email. And then when she's finished with that task, she would just go to edit item. In the status right here, if you notice right now, the status over here says not started. So she can go in and close out this task once she's finished with it, complete it, and then once she clicks save, I'll get an email notification saying, hey, Diane finished that task. This is good if you want to regulate work between Dr. Sam's and other engineers in the field and stuff like that. So I can just say add new item. The task, the title, the priority status, the sign to field. If you click on this little address book right here, this will have everybody within the Office 365 account, which is everybody that's part of this system. So let me just click that. Then I can just type in some type of name. I could just say, for example, Ethel or whatever. And then her name will pop up. And that's how you can search people. And then you can assign them a task and just click save. And then Ethel will get an email stating, this was from Idris Parks and here's the task. And then the status will pop up here. That way you can kind of know the items that are still open within the office that you need to have done. So for example, if Dr. Sam is running late, you can send him a task and he will actually get this on his phone. So then he can kind of reply back to you or just close out the task. So it's a good way to manage stuff like that. Training documentation. Everything we're talking about here, I actually have links for each of the training things that are going on. So here's the Microsoft Office 365 support, health code, Office 365 login, live demo stuff of all this stuff. So for example, how to use Microsoft Link Service. If I just right click and just say open a new window, then it's going to take me to a video that shows me how to use it. And what I did was I found all videos because they're a little bit easier to follow to help everybody out. To share documents from your PC, we can upload shared documents straight up to this site for everybody to see. But then I also have my documents where this view will only show things that you added. So for example, if you look at this, it only shows documents that I added right here. So if you look at modify by, so no one else can see this except for me. But shared documents, everybody can kind of see. So it's a way to, this is a good way to back things up that you don't want to have on your PC that you want to upload to SharePoint, because Microsoft is backing up all this stuff every night. So things that are shared documents, you can click shared and straight from your PC put them up on SharePoint. And then you can filter the view to my documents. See, so for example, Dr. Sam's, he put all three of these up here, and I put all these in here. But once I click on my documents, I can then only just see mine, which is kind of cool. Okay, the next section is for Dr. Sam's. You guys won't have access to this, only Dr. Sam's will. And this really has to do with, I just wanted to create a way for him to manage his contracts. So the first step he would do, and I got these in actual order, project registration. At this form, he's going to actually register the project that he's going after, or contract. Client name, address, city, state, zip code, phone number, client contact, project name. So for example, here's some test data that I put in there. City of Wisconsin, contract, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, whatever it may be. The RFP tracking document is an actual 8-page document that Dr. Sam's can use to kind of put intricate details about the RFP. So for example, I uploaded some actual RFPs that he was going after possibly. Let's just say Army Dietitian Project, which is a fictitious project. Up here, this is the key to this form. This is where you're going to control all, I think it's 8 pages. So for example, that's the purpose and guideline view. If I go to the cost benefit analysis view, is more data. And so here he can get or enter granular level detail about each project. And the reason why it's important, like for example, the profitability, when is the RFP due. In order to submit this, he has to have this checkbox checked, and then he can submit it, because he may just be actually working on this a couple of days and he might not want to submit it. You can have project details. So this is going to allow him, and actually let me go back to this view. Here, he can actually attach RFPs here, right inside the document. So let me kind of go back there, because that's going to be very, very important from a team perspective. Let me go back to that view. I think that was under final approval. So if I click here to attach a file, it's going to ask choose file, and then I can actually go on my desktop and choose a Word document, whatever, PDF or whatever, to attach it to that form. That way each RFP is attached to each form. His presentations, he can attach that, or additional documentation. The cool thing about that is, now some of these are key fields that he has, so you have to put in an RFP due date. And if you don't, the system will tell you, hey, you got an error, you need to populate this field. But this is so that you can go in there and you put in everything about that RFP that you need to, so that you can have all the information that you need. And actually, in this data here is going to drive your charts. So let's go there. So if I'm in this view, I just go to edit to get out of there. So let me just click close, and I'm not going to save this. Are you sure you want to close this form? I'm sorry. Yes. So these are like each one of these documents. So within this Army Dietitian, project, he can have the RFPs attached to this file, and that's the cool thing. Within this one file, also, not only is all his data populated here, but all the attachments are there, which is going to feed into this contract calendar at the bottom right here. So based on when the RFP is due, it's going to bring up a calendar view, so then he can kind of see when his RFPs are due, kind of keep track of them that way. Okay, so right here Thursday, I got like 3 of them. And remember, this is all based on phony data that I put in from this RFP tracking. Team documents, if he may want to insert team documents just for the RFP process, that's fine. This is where he would put that at. And once again, only Dr. Sams will have access to this part, because this also contains a lot of his administrative passwords and stuff like that. So you guys won't be able to see this view, only he'll be able to see this. I think for you guys, it'll definitely stop up here. That's administrative passwords. I'm not going to click on that, but that just kind of goes over and gives them everything. Now, once this RFP tracking documents is complete, then that kind of creates a lot of the KPIs here, which are just high-level financial statuses about what he's doing, or the RFPs and stuff like that. So if I click on that, then this gives him his dashboard, so then he can see like the different projects he got in pilot, full implementation mode and stuff like that. This is iDashboard. This is a product that Dr. Sam is thinking about procuring, but this gives you detailed KPIs. This is kind of out of scope for this project, but we use this in a lot. I've used this product a lot on different client sites. But the name of it is iDashboard. So if you go to idashboards.com, you can see how cool that is. And these are the different KPIs. So for example, the first, instead of doing it in Excel, this is another service that you can kind of create KPIs and metrics and stuff like that for. So I created this for him so he can kind of get a high level view of how many open patient orders, and I put some metrics besides that. So when the value of how many open go to 9, this will turn red, because we may say we only want 3 open. So if we mess around and get 9 open, we'll have a red ball, versus if we only got 3, it'll be green. So this is some high level stuff that I did. And like I said, because it's kind of new and we're just going through this, these type of things that expand on as we kind of mature in our operations. So for example, here are the client opportunities, the RFPs, the dollar amounts of what's open, so he can kind of just get that. But the true value lies within this iDashboards, which is what a lot of my clients use. Chase Bank, Citibank, and those guys, they use this product when they really want to drill down and invest in some type of KPI. And I actually go there for you so you can see where it is. So I just go to idashboards.com, and you can see some of the previews that they have for different industries. Right here, if you go to live previews, dashboard previews right here at the bottom. See, they got K2 KPIs. They have, for example, this is utility and energy. So if I click on that, and then the live preview will come up for utility industry. See, by state, you can go to Illinois. If you notice, all these dynamically change. It's pretty cool. All right, so that's a quick overview of SharePoint. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can definitely just send me SMS via link services, or have Dr. Sams get in contact with me. Thank you.